Marvel Comics and the MCU. Marvel's always had an impressive array of characters, from Spider-Man to the X-Men to Captain America. There's no lack of well-conceived, amazing heroes for you to choose from. Aww.
Hello, I started this gangster shit. Just the motherfucking thanks I get. Hello, I started this gangster shit. And this the motherfucking thanks I get.
Hey, if you're enjoying this content but haven't yet subscribed, please take a minute to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Thank you. Yeah. Yup, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Welcome, boys and girls. I am Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of this comic book industry that is in decline. World's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Great big Star Wars fan, trusted member of the media. So, I have been talking recently about the comic book industry and how, in particular, I made a video 2 days ago about how comic book sales are so bad. April sales came back. They are miserable. Everything is falling apart. And I received some responses from SJWs on Twitter, one of which I just saw this morning, and it went as follows. It says, "The real money's in movies now. I'm sure Marvel's slow book sales are more than made up for by the multi-billion-dollar industry that is the MCU. And they owe some of those billions to SJW's support, so I'm sure these flicks aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Sorry, boo." Yeah. Well, did he call me boo? Okay, bae. Look, here's the thing. The comic book industry and the movie industry are two separate things. Now, the comic book industry is the one that I'm actually concerned about. I'm concerned about it because it should be like an idea farm about heroes. It really should. The comic book industry should generate wonderful ideas to pick from for these movies to be made, adapting, these ideas. Ideally, that's what they're doing right now. If the comic book industry goes away because stupid SJWs came in and filled it with social justice nonsense, took the characters that had existed for many decades, ruined them by accusing them of being Nazis, while replacing them and joining them with cheap, poorly conceived Mary Sue characters like Captain Marvel. Basically, the MCU will eventually go the same way as the comic book industry if it follows the same track. And it is following that same track. I mean, Captain Marvel is here. She is a character that has not caught on. I mean, she's just not caught on. She's had 8 series right now at Marvel Comics. Its newest one, its latest series. Her latest series is about to be canceled. The comic book industry really should be a bellwether. It should be something that people kind of they put ideas out there and just see if this reading public enjoys it. Then it's likely that the larger populace will also enjoy those ideas. That is how the MCU has built itself up to this point. But now we're moving on to Phase 5, which is to finally get rid of these straight white male characters, these cisgendered characters, and replace them with the horrible social justice warrior diversity picks that are currently squatting at Marvel Comics, the publishing arm, and ruining the entire comic book industry. So we got an announcement yesterday that Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, the single worst, and I mean worse than Rocket Racer, the worst character to ever appear in a Marvel comic. So stupid, she is going to be in the MCU. Now, this image from Avengers Endgame is lovely. I still have not gone to see this movie. I don't know why. I'm not quite sure. Something about it feels a little off, a little poisonous, a little weird, a little grotesque. But I guess I'm going to have to go see this movie eventually. Maybe I'll go see it. I'll go see it in one of those dollar theaters. Do they still have those? Now, I have found... I have still watched. I've watched over the internet. I've read the articles that people have said in discussion of this movie, and even the poisonous SJW ones. Now, it's important to understand, when you are criticizing, when you are a critic and you are criticizing a movie like this, you'll be able to tell whether or not it is an SJW movie by the way SJWs respond to it. If they freak out like a vampire looking at a crucifix, you know that you found an SJW movie. And indeed, this horrible website here, The Pedestrian, this article is hilarious. Look at this. MRA dip. By the way, it's put profanity right in the title of the article. MRA a dipshit cut a version of Endgame with no Brie Larson and none of this. I didn't know this was in it. I had no idea. MRA, by the way, stands for Men's Rights Activists. These are people who foolishly believe men have rights. So it takes all kinds. We can agree to disagree. I don't think men have any rights at all. I think they should be enslaved. And I think this person obviously feels the same way. Now, the anger in this title is going to be projected onto this guy's target, essentially. That is my prediction. SJWs always project. So what this guy's going to do is he's going to seethe with penisless anger, and he's going to project that penisless anger onto the people that he dislikes, namely the MRA. This is going to be the target of his hatred, of his seething, little tiny, squeaky, parakeet male style anger. That's going to be projected onto these MRA, these men's rights activists. Let's find out if I'm right. I usually am right. Let me get my soy boy lisp going here, and we will read this. Oh, God, do I have to... it's just so... I don't know how these people actually, tolerate each other. They are insufferable. Imagining the sheer amount of time and effort required... This is a long sentence. This guy spent all of his time editing this sentence together. It goes on too long. Run on, soy boy lisping sentence. Imagining the sheer amount of time and effort required to be constantly furious about women being in superhero movies is in and of itself exhausting, so Lord only knows how deeply tired certain scum F subsections of the internet must be at all times. Well, the key to that is to take naps all the time. It is exhausting to be angry about Brie Larson, so I'll stretch out on a nice, comfy, lazy boy recliner. I might go outside, lay by the pool, and just, get a little rest because, I want to be wide awake, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for when I attack Brie Larson and the stupid people who actually enable idiots like Brie Larson by putting them in major Hollywood movies. And making her think that she's the Rosa Parks of superhero films. She's a freedom fighter. She's fighting for women in superhero movies. She's fighting for women's rights in superhero movies, and they should have rights. It's important to remain well-rested and take your vitamins. I do agree. To that end, some moronic MRA is this a word? I've never seen this before. I thought this was dip. This should be dip, not dead. Has produced and is now sharing a version of Avengers Endgame that wantonly strips most of the women. Oh, that sounds good, but that can't be what he's talking about. Let's read on from the film. And removes what the uploader refers to as the gay S word from the movie. Okay, well, again, I'm going to have to find out what this means. We'll find out. Listen, I haven't made up my mind yet. Crazy SJW, you're going to have to tell me that your way is the right way. Oh, good Lord. Ugh. You might recall that MRA edgelords produced a cut-down version of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Okay, now, this is important. As I said, if you're catching flack, you're right over the target. Now, how do we know that Star Wars The Last Jedi was an SJW signpost? How do we know that was their touchstone, that was them trying to plant a flag? Because they get so very, very upset when you criticize it. They get very, very irritated by people who criticize Star Wars The Last Jedi. Why? Why don't they do that about Solo? I don't know. Probably because Star Wars The Last Jedi was legit an SJW attempt to really plant their flag that they've taken over Star Wars. And by the way, they have taken over Star Wars. But you mustn't criticize them. All right, so that eviscerated the narrative for the sake of appeasing a select few edgelords who pissed their pants over women being allowed in space or whatever. All right, so again, I love the idea of editing Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Let us read on. I'm not sure that anyone pissed their pants. I think people just kind of were annoyed. The resultant butcher's job of an edit ran for just 46 minutes. It ran for the movie was 3 hours. Are you telling me? All right, so it cut out most shots showing female fighters, pilots, and female officers commanding people around or having ideas. So every time a woman in Star Wars: The Last Jedi is ordering men around, bossing men around, we remove that, we throw that out, and having ideas, committing Harry Carey, having ideas like crashing your entire spacecraft at light speed. Yeah, well, we should delete that. That's probably not a great idea. And remove scenes in which Princess Leia scolds, questions, or demotes Poe Dameron. Remove that too. So you're telling me that if we get rid of all of the scenes in which women have terrible ideas that get their entire crew killed while giving a cattle prod to a dumpy little potato of a woman to shock people who want to flee the incompetent leadership of Holdo, of Vice Admiral Holdo, shock them in the balls. I think that's what she did. Get back on that ship. I want to leave. I don't want to die. Bzz, get back on this ship. Get back on here. You're gonna crash with the rest of us. That is so you remove all that stuff. You remove Princess Leia scolding and demoting Poe Dameron. You're left with a 46 movie. Out of 3 hours, you have 46 minutes left. That should tell you something. That should actually tell you something. All right, so the Endgame recut uploaded to torrent sites by anonymous users takes a similar line. The upload carries the title Defeminized Fan Edit Anti-Cheese Cut, so named because it removes Brie Larson from the movie entirely. So, yeah, I guess it's a joke. It's kind of an oblique joke, my friend. Anti-cheese. I mean, I would just assume that, yeah, you just cut the cheesy crap out of that movie. And no, they literally mean because Brie is a kind of cheese. All right, well, not everyone. All right, so beyond yoinking Larson from the movie altogether, the list of amendments made to the film range from the mildly deranged to the outright fucking asinine. Okay, so I would actually, by the way, I'd reverse these. Being deranged means that you are mentally ill and unmedicated. You're crazy, all right? And then asinine just means you're kind of stupid. You're a jackass. I would say mildly asinine to outright effing deranged. That's what I would do. But see, this kind of points out the fact that SJWs think being stupid is way worse than being insane. I don't know. I'd rather talk to some dumb people than some effing crazy deranged people. But I am not an SJW. Initially, the cuts edit out most quips in order to give a more consistent, serious tone, which is bananas when you consider the chief complaint of that amendment is superheroes should not be funny. Well, no, but they're Joss Whedonisms. You want to remove the Joss Whedonisms. Joss Whedonisms are stupid Buffy the Vampire Slayer style jokes that sort of betray a sort of calm, collected indifference to a terrible situation. Joss Whedonisms are not cheating on your wife while pretending to be a feminist. That's being a Joss Whedonist. But Joss Whedonisms are carefree jokes that really betray the seriousness of the situation. And in some cases, I think that's okay in superhero movies. But in a superhero movie where factually the superheroes all fail because Thanos comes in and actually vaporizes 50% of the population of planet Earth, turns them to ashes, I think being funny in that situation is irresponsible. And yeah, probably remove all of those quips. That was one of my main problems with that movie. It's not funny. Like that, there's nothing funny about what's going on here. It's incredibly depressing. Following that, the list gets even more cooked. In its own words, which we reprint here verbatim. So, all right, no Hawkeye training his daughter. Well, his daughter is going to grow up to be the new Hawkeye. She's not going to get her own identity. She's just going to simply replace her father, and she is going to join the MCU, and I guess it's MCU Phase 5 or Phase 6, I don't know, when they bring in Kamala Khan, the single worst character ever created. Again, Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel. I cannot put into words how awful that character is in every single way. She is going to be in the MCU now with Captain Marvel, probably with Squirrel Girl. Now we're going to have female Hawkeye as well. So yeah, remove that. No women leader conference. No gay support group talk. I didn't know there was a gay support group. Like, that would be interesting. Is there a scene where there are a lot of gay guys who are sitting around going, hey, this is very stressful. Do you want to talk about how you feel? Well, if there was that scene, that got removed. I didn't see the movie, but they took it out. Moping dialogue filler in the first act severely reduced. That's nice. Any signs? By the way, moping, filler dialogue and all that stuff, like, now you're moping. You were all Joss Whedonists, or Joss Whedonimists. I mean, we got to separate the difference between making stupid jokes that make light of your terrifying situation and actually, again, cheating on your wife while pretending to be a feminist. Those are the two. There's a difference there. So remove all that. Now you're moping in this movie. Probably you shouldn't have made the jokes in the first one. Any science babble that isn't necessary to understand the story is gone. Nothing takes you out of a movie quite like pseudoscience. I kind of agree. Tony doesn't ask his wife's permission to save the universe. Now that probably should be in there because that is real. That's reality. Honey, can I save the universe? And she says, have you taken the garbage out yet? No. Then take the garbage out. Then you can save the universe. Always do that. Always ask your wife's permission. Female sorceress gets scared of Hulk and just gives him the stone. I don't know what that means. Tony doesn't meet his dad. Thor doesn't meet his mom. Those scenes are out because they're pointless. Thor, of course, was disgraced. He's a fat bum in the movie. But this guy did do his best to make him more dignified. Black Panther isn't the first revived Avenger to arrive. He gets a little less time. He's not really that important. Is that racist? Let me know in the comments section. I'm not sure. Women in the final battle severely reduced. In particular, Pepper has no business being there. People did tell me that like the one big annoying SJW scene in the movie was just women, let's go get them, it's girl fight time or something like that. And so I guess that gets cut out. In general, whenever it felt like Marvel sniffing its own farts, that part is probably gone. So I gotta agree. All right, so this guy goes on to just say, oh yeah, this is neo-Nazi edgelord. These people see neo-Nazis under their beds. Everyone who is not an SJW is probably a neo-Nazi to these weirdos. And at the end of the day, what did this result in? That movie, which was 11 hours long, has been cut down to 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 30 seconds. That's 90 minutes. I can do that. And I'll bet you if this movie ever airs on basic cable, or any network with commercials, it will be edited down to 90 minutes. So this guy probably did it. I think basic cable should probably use his cut. This guy calls him truly demented. I think he probably did a pretty good editing job. I got to tell you. So this is the thing, guys. Brie Larson is irritating. She is irritating whenever she's in anything. She's irritating when she's just being interviewed. Don't put her in movies unless you want normal people to edit her out of the movies so that, again, normal people can enjoy the movies on the internet. But what did I say? Didn't I just say that this guy was going to be seething with penisless anger? Seems like the guy who actually made this fan edit had some fun doing it and had some pretty good points as he pulled these scenes out. And SJWs just can't take it. They just cannot roll with that. You have interfered with, you've mocked their narrative, and thus... we must call you names. All right, everyone. So I'm going to try to find that fan edit. I think I'd probably rather watch that than the real movie in the theater. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed and enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Make sure YouTube has not unsubscribed you without your permission, without your knowledge. Double check that because they do that from time to time. Share this video. And thanks a lot. I'll be back with another video pretty soon. Bye. Hey, I got a P.O. Box. Want to send me some mail? Send it to Ethan Van Sciver, P.O. Box 607, Marlton, New Jersey, 08053. And I'll probably open it up on a live stream. Thanks very much, everyone. Hey, you want to follow me on Twitter? Are you sure? Well, if so, I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. That's at Ethan Van Sciver. See you there. Hello, potential Indiegogo backers. Hello, friends. My name is Ethan Van Sciver. I'm a comic book creator who worked for 20 years for Marvel and DC Comics on books like Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, Batman, and X-Men. But before that, I had a comic book called Cyberfrog. Now, Cyberfrog lasted from 1993 to 1998, and then it stopped when I went to go work for DC Comics. Now I want to tell the story of where Cyberfrog has been for the last 20 years. I want to write, pencil, ink a book called Cyberfrog Blood Honey that tells the story of gigantic alien hornets that come to Earth and conquer it, sending Cyberfrog into deep hibernation, where he emerges now in the year 2018 into a completely alternate reality, a new world where these hornets have taken over, devastated humanity, using human skin to make gigantic wasp hives, and harvesting human blood to make honey to feed their young. Very few humans still exist. But it's up to Cyberfrog to save what's left of humanity and turn back the damage that's been done by these wasps with his brother Salamandroid and his friend Heather Swain. I want you to help me do this. We're going to get colors by Kyle Ritter. He's a fantastic colorist, and he's going to make this book sing. I'd like this to be a 48-page one-shot prestige format, part 1 of 4. So I'm asking you to help me launch the very first Cyberfrog Blood Honey epic graphic novel. Are you in? Will you help me? I hope so. Let's get this frog jumping again. If you enjoyed this video and want to become part of this community, subscribe to this channel by clicking the Laughing Man face logo right on your screen. Ring the bell for notifications as well. You'll never miss a live chat. And stay tuned, another video by Comic Artist Pro Secrets is coming right up.